Imaging finding a rare coin so rare it could pay off your house today. We're diving into 10 of the most valuable US coins ever found. Real coins worth hundreds and even millions of dollars or more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next rare find. Let's start this.
But what if I told you that a single United States 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark could be worth an astonishing amount of money? Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story, history, rare varieties, and true value behind the 1978 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that might be hiding in plain sight. Let's travel back to 1978. America was experiencing cultural change, economic challenges, and technological growth. The Lincoln cent had already been a part of American life for nearly 70 years. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, it became the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1978, the design was familiar and iconic. Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1978 Lincoln penny, without a mint mark, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on cents. So when you see a 1978 penny with no mint mark under the date, that means it was produced in Philadelphia. But wait, millions and millions of these pennies were made. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 3 billion Lincoln cents in 1978. That sounds extremely common, right? So how could something produced in the billions possibly be worth serious money? The answer lies in condition, rarity within grade, and error varieties. Most 1978 pennies you find in circulation are well worn. They've been passed from hand to hand for decades. These circulated examples are typically worth only face value, maybe a few cents at best. Even uncirculated examples in average mint state condition might sell for only a small premium. However, the real magic happens when we talk about high-grade specimens, coins that were preserved perfectly from the moment they were struck. Coins graded MS66, MS67, or even higher by professional grading services can command serious attention from collectors. Why? Because even though billions were minted, very few survived in pristine, flawless condition. The minting process in the late 1970s wasn't always gentle. Many coins were poorly struck, had contact marks from heavy bag storage, or developed spotting over time. Finding a 1978 no mint mark penny with blazing red luster, sharp details, and virtually zero marks is extremely difficult. Collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. Registry set collectors, those who try to assemble the highest graded sets possible, will pay astonishing prices to secure top population coins. And that's not all. There are also valuable error varieties to watch for. One of the most talked about is the 1978 double die variety. While not as dramatic as the famous 1955 double die, some 1978 pennies show noticeable doubling in the lettering or date. Doubling can appear on Liberty, In God We Trust, or even the numbers in the date. These varieties can significantly increase value, especially in high grade. There are also off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other mint errors that collectors actively search for. An off-center 1978 penny with strong eye appeal can sell for hundreds of dollars depending on the percentage off strike and overall condition, but condition remains king. When grading Lincoln cents from this era, color designation matters tremendously. Coins are classified as brown, red-brown, or red. A full red example retains at least 95% of its original mint red color. These are the most desirable and valuable. Over time, copper naturally tones to brown, so finding a bright red coin from 1978 that has been perfectly preserved is increasingly difficult. Now imagine a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny graded at the very top of the scale, virtually flawless, fully red, sharply struck, and preserved for decades without damage. That is the kind of coin that creates headlines in the collecting world. Collectors analyze tiny details under magnification. They inspect Lincoln's hair strands, the sharpness of the Lincoln Memorial columns, the clarity of the lettering, and the smoothness of the fields. Even the smallest mark can drop a grade and dramatically reduce value. This is why professional grading services, like PCGS and NGC, play such an important role. Authentication and third-party grading provide confidence to buyers and sellers. When a coin is encapsulated in a certified holder with a top grade, it becomes part of the official population report, and rarity within that grade becomes measurable. In some cases, only a handful of coins achieve the highest possible grades. When demand exceeds supply at that elite level, prices can skyrocket. Another factor that drives value is eye appeal. Even within the same grade, coins with exceptional luster, vibrant color, and strong strike can command premium prices compared to average examples. How do you check if your 1978 penny is valuable? First, look under the date. If there is no mint mark, you have the Philadelphia issue. Next, examine the coin carefully under bright light. Is the surface shiny and red, or dull and brown? Are there visible scratches, spots, or wear on Lincoln's cheek and jaw? Do you see any unusual doubling in the letters? If the coin appears flawless, it may be worth submitting to a professional grading service. But keep in mind that grading fees can be significant, so submission usually makes sense only for coins that appear to be in exceptionally high mint state condition. Storage also plays a critical role. Copper is sensitive to moisture and air exposure. Many once red coins have turned brown over the years due to improper storage. Collectors who preserved rolls of pennies in ideal conditions decades ago are often the ones who discover high-grade treasures today. There's something incredibly exciting about modern coins becoming unexpectedly valuable. Many people assume only ancient or early 1900s coins are worth big money. But the 1978 Lincoln penny proves that even coins from the late 20th century can become collector sensations when rarity and condition meets demand. Imagine searching through a jar of old pennies inherited from a relative. Among thousands of ordinary coins, one stands out, brilliant red, perfectly struck, untouched by time. That single cent could transform from pocket change into a life-changing collectible. The Lincoln Cent series remains one of the most widely collected coin series in the world. Its affordability for beginners and depth for advanced collectors make it universally appealing. And coins like the 1978 no-mint mark penny remind us why this hobby continues to thrive. But what if one of those ordinary-looking coins was actually a hidden treasure? Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 1984 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that might look common at first glance, yet under the right conditions, can be worth serious money. The year 1984 was an interesting time in American history. The economy was recovering, technology was advancing, and millions upon millions of pennies were being produced for everyday transactions. The Lincoln Cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln, had already become one of the most recognized coins in the world. By 1984, the design featured Lincoln's portrait on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1959. Now let's talk about what makes the 1984 penny with no mint mark so special. When a coin has no mint mark, it usually means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In 1984, Philadelphia produced a massive number of Lincoln cents, billions of them. Because of this high mintage, most 1984 no-mint mark pennies you find in circulation are only worth their face value. But here's where things get exciting. Within those billions of coins, Certain rare varieties and high-grade examples stand out dramatically. One of the most talked about varieties of the 1984 penny is the double-die obverse. This error occurs during the minting process, when the die used to strike the coin receives a doubled image. As a result, some design elements appear noticeably doubled. On the 1984 double-die obverse penny, collectors often spot strong doubling in the word Liberty and in the date 1984. When viewed under magnification, the letters and numbers may look slightly shifted or have a shadow-like effect. This kind of mint error instantly transforms an ordinary penny into something collectors eagerly search for. The stronger and clearer the doubling, the more desirable the coin becomes. But doubling alone isn't the only factor that determines value. Condition is everything in the coin collecting world. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from heavily worn to perfect mint condition. Most 1984 pennies found in circulation show signs of wear, scratches, dull surfaces, faded details. These are generally worth only 1 cent. However, coins that were never circulated, known as uncirculated coins, can carry a premium. And when we talk about coins graded in extremely high mint state levels, such as MS67 or higher, we enter a completely different price range. In 1984, pennies were made primarily of copper-plated zinc. Just 2 years earlier, in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from mostly solid copper cents to this new composition due to rising copper prices. The 1984 penny therefore has a zinc core with a thin copper coating. Because of this, many examples over time have developed spots, bubbles, or corrosion if not stored properly. Finding one in flawless condition decades later is far more difficult than it sounds. Collectors look for coins with sharp details, strong luster, and clean surfaces free from marks. A high-grade 1984 no-mint mark penny with vibrant original red color can command much higher prices than a dull, brown, worn example. Color designation also plays a role. Lincoln cents are often categorized as red, red-brown, or brown. Full red coins, which retain their bright mint color, are the most desirable. Now imagine combining a rare double-die obverse with an exceptionally high mint state grade and beautiful red color. That is when the value skyrockets. Error coins create excitement because they are mistakes that slip through quality control. They represent a moment in history when something unusual happened at the mint. Collectors love these stories. They love the hunt. And sometimes, they are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the best examples known. But how do you know if you have one? Start by examining the date and the word Liberty under magnification. Look closely for clear, separated doubling, not just minor machine doubling, but strong, distinct doubling that appears part of the design itself. Next, inspect the coin's overall condition. Are Lincoln's hair details sharp? Is the surface glossy and bright? Are there minimal contact marks? If you suspect you have something special, the next step is professional grading. Third-party grading companies authenticate and assign a grade to coins, sealing them in protective holders. A certified high-grade example gains credibility in the marketplace and often sells for significantly more than a raw coin. The coin market is driven by rarity, demand, and condition. While millions of 1984 no-mint mark pennies exist, only a tiny fraction survive in top-tier grades. And among those, even fewer display dramatic doubling errors. Another interesting factor is collector psychology. Many people grew up handling Lincoln cents daily. There's a nostalgic connection to them. When collectors discover that a coin from their childhood could be worth thousands, interest surges. That demand pushes prices higher, especially for the finest known specimens. It's also important to understand that not every 1984 penny without a mint mark is valuable. The vast majority are common. Education is key. Knowing what to look for makes all the difference between spending a rare coin and saving it. Coin roll hunting has become increasingly popular because of stories like this. People visit banks, obtain rolls of pennies, and carefully search through them hoping to find rare dates, errors, or high-grade gems. It's affordable, exciting, and sometimes incredibly rewarding. The 1984 double-die Obverse variety remains one of the standout modern Lincoln set errors. While circulated examples might sell for modest premiums, pristine uncirculated specimens bring far more attention. The finest graded examples, especially those with blazing red surfaces and strong doubling, have achieved remarkable auction results. Imagine holding a tiny copper-colored coin that most people ignore, yet knowing it represents a rare minting anomaly preserved in near-perfect condition. That contrast between ordinary appearance and extraordinary value is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. Storage also plays a huge role in preserving value. Coins should be kept in dry, temperature-stable environments. Handling them by the edges prevents oils from damaging surfaces. Even small scratches can reduce a coin's grade and dramatically lower its value. As time passes, high-grade examples become even harder to find. Every year, more coins are lost, damaged, or worn down. Supply of top-condition pieces slowly shrinks, while demand among collectors often remains steady or grows. This imbalance can lead to impressive price appreciation for the best specimens. The 1984 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny teaches an important lesson: value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in plain sight. Sometimes it's sitting quietly in a jar of loose change. Before you dismiss your pennies, take a closer look. Use a magnifying glass. Check for doubling. Examine the condition. Research recent auction sales of certified examples. Knowledge transforms curiosity into opportunity. And here's the most exciting part. A top-quality 1984 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with dramatic doubling and an elite mint-state grade has reached auction prices as high as $85,633. That's right. A single penny, originally worth 1 cent, turning into a life-changing discovery. So the next time you receive change, don't overlook it. Hidden among the ordinary could be something extraordinary. The 1984 Lincoln set without a mint mark proves that even the smallest coin can carry an incredible story, and possibly an incredible value. But today, we're diving deep into a coin that might completely change the way you look at your spare change. The United States of America 1985 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 Cent Penny. At first glance, the 1985 D Lincoln penny looks ordinary. It carries the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been part of American coinage since 1909. On the reverse, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of history and honor that defined the penny from 1959 to 2008. But beneath this classic design lies a fascinating story. A story of minting, metal composition, condition rarity, and collector demand that can turn a simple copper-plated coin into a serious treasure. Let's start with the basics. The D Mint mark on the 1985 penny stands for the Denver Mint. In 1985, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents. These coins were struck primarily for circulation, meaning they were meant to be used in everyday transactions. Because of the high mintage, many people assume the coin must be common and nearly worthless. And in circulated condition, that's mostly true. A typical worn 1985 D penny might only be worth a few cents above face value. But here's where things get interesting. The 1985 Lincoln cent was made after a major composition change that occurred in 1982. Before 1982, pennies were primarily made of 95% copper. After 1982, the U.S. Mint switched to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This change dramatically affected the coin's weight, durability, and long-term preservation. The 1985 D penny weighs about 2.5 grams due to its zinc composition, compared to the heavier pre-1982 copper cents. Because these coins are copper-plated zinc, they are more prone to certain types of damage. Zinc since can develop bubbling, corrosion, and plating blisters over time. So finding a 1985 penny in pristine condition is much harder than you might think. Many coins from this era show wear, dull surfaces, or small imperfections, and that's exactly why condition matters so much. In coin collecting, condition is graded on a scale from poor all the way up to mint state 70. Most 1985 pennies you'll find in circulation grade somewhere between very fine and about uncirculated. These are common and affordable. But when you step into the realm of high mint state grades, especially MS67 or higher, the population drops dramatically. A coin graded MS67 must have nearly flawless surfaces, sharp details, strong luster, and minimal marks visible even under magnification. For a mass-produced circulation coin like the 1985 penny, achieving such a high grade is incredibly rare. Tiny contact marks from minting, transportation, and storage usually prevent coins from reaching elite grades. Now imagine finding a 1985 Lincoln penny with blazing red luster, virtually no blemishes, razor-sharp strike quality, and perfect eye appeal. That's the kind of coin that makes collectors' hearts race. But condition alone isn't the only factor that can boost value. There are also error coins to consider. Mint errors are among the most exciting aspects of coin collecting. A 1985 penny could feature off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, or even dramatic double die varieties. Some double die coins show noticeable doubling in the lettering or date, making them highly desirable. Another fascinating error involves rotated dies, where the reverse design is not properly aligned with the obverse. These kinds of mint mistakes are rare and can significantly increase the coin's value depending on severity and eye appeal. Collectors are especially passionate about high-grade examples combined with strong red coloration. Copper-plated zinc cents are categorized by color: brown, red-brown, and red. A fully red coin retains its original mint brilliance with no signs of toning. Because copper naturally oxidizes over time, maintaining that bright red color for decades is extremely difficult. That's why full red examples in top grades are so scarce. The market for high-grade Lincoln cents has grown steadily over the years. Registry set collectors compete fiercely to assemble the finest known examples of each date and mint mark. These collectors often pay substantial premiums for coins that rank among the best certified by professional grading services. And this is where the story becomes truly astonishing. While most 1985 pennies are worth only a few cents and exceptionally preserved, top population example in elite mint state condition stunned the collecting community when it reached an incredible value of $85,833. Yes, you heard that correctly. A coin that once represented just 1 cent, a coin many people wouldn't even bother to pick up from the sidewalk, achieved a price of $85,833 due to its extraordinary preservation, rarity in top condition, and intense demand among collectors. Think about that transformation. From pocket change to a 5-figure collectible. So, how can you tell if your 1985 penny might be valuable? First, check the mint mark. Look just below the date on the obverse side. If you see a small D, that confirms it was minted in Denver. Next, examine the coin's overall condition. Does it still have bright, original luster? Are Lincoln's hair details sharp and well-defined? Is the Lincoln memorial on the reverse crisp, with clear lines between the columns? Use a magnifying glass to inspect for errors. Look for doubling in the date or lettering, unusual cracks, or misaligned designs. Also check for surface quality. Heavy scratches, dullness, or corrosion will significantly reduce value. If you believe your coin is in exceptional condition, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable service. Certification not only confirms authenticity, but also assigns an official grade that determines market value. It's important to remember that not every 1985 penny will be worth a fortune. In fact, the vast majority are common. But the possibility, even the slightest chance, that a seemingly ordinary coin could hold extraordinary value is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. The 1985 Lincoln penny represents more than just currency. It symbolizes how history, craftsmanship, and preservation can intersect to create something truly remarkable. Every coin tells a story of the year it was minted, the people who used it, and the journey it took before landing in a collection or an auction house. Imagine going through an old jar of coins inherited from a family member. You sift through nickels, dimes, and quarters, barely paying attention, until you notice a shiny 1985 penny with a Denver Mint mark. You hold it under the light, noticing its brilliant red glow. The surfaces look nearly perfect. Could it be one of those rare high-grade survivors? That moment of discovery is what collectors live for. The beauty of the Lincoln Cent series is its accessibility. Anyone can start searching. You don't need expensive equipment to begin. All it takes is curiosity, patience, and attention to detail. And sometimes, a bit of luck. So the next time you receive change from a store, don't ignore the pennies. Take a closer look at the dates. Separate the copper-colored older cents from the modern ones. Check for mint marks. Study their surfaces. Because hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be an extraordinary gem. The 1985 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny may seem modest, but as we've seen, in the right condition, it can reach a value that most people would never expect from a single cent. Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a simple 1988 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin so common, so ordinary, that most people would toss it into a jar without a second thought. Now imagine discovering that this tiny copper-plated coin could actually be worth a life-changing amount of money. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the United States of America 1988 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that might be hiding in plain sight and could turn an everyday collector into a very lucky individual. The Lincoln Cent has been a part of American history since 1909. It was the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real person, President Abraham Lincoln, honoring the 100th anniversary of his birth. By 1988, the Lincoln penny had already gone through several design changes and metal composition adjustments. But even in a year that seems modern compared to early wheat cents, there are hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. Let's first understand what no mint mark really means. In 1988, pennies were primarily struck at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Denver carry a D mint mark, and proof coins from San Francisco carry an S. However, pennies produced in Philadelphia during that time did not carry a mint mark at all. So when we say 1988 no mint mark penny, we are referring to a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. At first glance, the 1988 Philadelphia penny seems extremely common. In fact, the mintage was massive. Hundreds of millions were produced. Most of these coins are only worth face value. Even in uncirculated condition, a typical 1988 no-mint mark penny might only be worth a few cents to a few dollars, depending on its grade. So what makes this coin so exciting? Why are collectors paying serious attention to it? The answer lies in varieties and errors. One of the most famous varieties connected to the 1988 Lincoln Cent is the 1988 and 1988D reverse of 1989 variety. This variety features a subtle but significant design difference on the reverse side of the coin. Specifically, the designer's initials, FG for Frank Gasparo, appear in a different style and placement compared to the standard 1988 reverse. On a normal 1988 penny, the FG initials are positioned closer to the memorial building and have a certain shape. But on the rare reverse of 1989 variety, The initials are more separated and distinctly styled, matching the design used in 1989. This happened due to a transitional die being used. Essentially, a 1989 reverse die was mistakenly paired with a 1988 obverse die. These transitional errors are extremely exciting in the coin collecting world because they represent a small window in time when the mint was changing designs. Only a limited number of coins escaped into circulation before the mistake was corrected. If you happen to find a 1988 no-mint marked penny with the reverse of 1989 design in high grade, you could be holding something very special. Now let's talk about condition. In coin collecting, condition is everything. A coin graded mint state 60 will be worth far less than one graded mint state 67 or higher. Professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC evaluate coins based on luster, strike quality, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal. Most 1988 pennies you find in circulation will show wear, scratches, dull color, maybe even corrosion. These coins are typically worth only 1 cent. But if you discover a sharply struck example with blazing red luster, no contact marks, and perfect surfaces, the value increases dramatically. Collectors particularly love coins graded MS67 red or better. Red refers to the original copper color of the coin. Over time, copper coins turn brown due to oxidation. A fully red coin from 1988 in superb condition is much harder to find than you might think. Now imagine combining a rare transitional reverse variety with a near-perfect grade. That's where things become extraordinary. Auction records have shown that high-grade examples of rare varieties can command astonishing prices. Competitive bidding between collectors who need that specific coin to complete a registry set can drive the value into impressive territory. But how can you check if your coin is special? Start by examining the reverse side carefully under magnification. Look closely at the FG initials near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. Compare them with verified images of the reverse of 1989 variety. The spacing and shape of the letters are the key indicators. Next, inspect the overall condition. Does the coin still have its original mint shine? Are there noticeable scratches or nicks? Is the color bright red, or has it toned to brown? You should also weigh the coin. By 1988, Lincoln cents were made of copper-plated zinc and weigh about 2.5 grams. If your coin weighs significantly more or less, it could indicate an error. Another factor that can add value is striking errors. Off-center strikes, double dies, broad strikes, and clipped planchets can all increase the worth of a 1988 penny. Even though these errors are rare, they do exist, and collectors love them. The beauty of coin collecting is that treasures are not limited to ancient coins. Even coins from the late 20th century can surprise you. Many people overlook pennies from the 1980s because they assume they are too modern to be valuable. But as we've seen time and time again, rarity combined with condition can create something extraordinary. The 1988 no-mint marked Lincoln penny represents opportunity. It reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest details, a slight difference in lettering, a minor design change, can transform an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. If you are serious about determining your coin's value, consider having it authenticated and graded by a reputable grading service. Professional certification not only confirms authenticity, but also gives buyers confidence, which can significantly increase the selling price. Remember, the majority of 1988 no-mint marked pennies are common. But the rare varieties in exceptional condition are what drive headlines and spark excitement. So next time you receive change at a store, don't ignore those pennies. Take a closer look. Examine the date. Flip it over. Check those initials. Because hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be one extraordinary piece waiting to be discovered. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, and discovering that the small copper-colored piece resting in your hand could be worth far more than its face value. Today, we are diving deep into a fascinating story about the United States of America 1990 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark, a coin that many people overlook, yet collectors carefully examine under bright lights and magnifying glasses. The year 1990 may not feel very distant. It was a time of changing technology, global events, and economic shifts. Yet in that same year, millions upon millions of Lincoln pennies were quietly produced and released into circulation. Most people spent them without a second thought. But hidden among these ordinary coins are examples that have become highly desirable to collectors. Let's start by understanding what no mint mark really means. On Lincoln pennies, the mint mark is typically found on the obverse side of the coin, just below the year. In 1990, pennies were struck primarily at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark. Coins from Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark at all during that period. So a 1990 penny without a mint mark was produced in Philadelphia. At first glance, that might not sound rare. After all, the Philadelphia Mint produced a massive number of pennies in 1990. In fact, billions were struck. So why would any 1990 no mint mark Lincoln penny be worth more than 1 cent? The answer lies in condition, varieties, and subtle differences that only trained eyes can spot. The 1990 Lincoln penny still featured the classic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. This iconic image had been used since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the reverse side in 1990, the coin still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. That makes the 1990 penny part of the Lincoln Memorial series, which ran until 2008. Another important detail about the 1990 penny is its composition. By this time, Lincoln cents were no longer made primarily of copper. Starting in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. So the 1990 penny is composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. This change affected not only the coin's weight, but also its durability. Many 1990 pennies today show bubbling, corrosion, or plating damage due to the zinc core reacting over time. Because of this, finding a 1990 no mint mark penny in pristine, uncirculated condition is far more difficult than you might expect. Coins that were immediately saved from circulation, stored carefully, and preserved without scratches, spots, or discoloration can command impressive premiums in the collector market. But condition alone is not the only factor that drives value. Collectors are always searching for errors and varieties. In 1990, there were reports of subtle double die varieties and minor die anomalies. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions during the die creation process. This can cause noticeable doubling in the lettering or numbers, especially in the date or the word Liberty. While most 1990 no mint mark pennies are common, a sharply struck coin with a strong double die feature, especially in mint state grades like MS65, MS66, or higher, can attract serious attention from collectors. Grading plays a massive role in determining a coin's value. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS70 is considered perfect, with no visible flaws even under magnification. For modern coins, like the 1990 penny, achieving grades above MS67 is extremely challenging. Tiny contact marks from mint bags, microscopic scratches, or faint discoloration can lower a coin's grade. This is why high-grade examples can become so valuable. Even though billions were minted, only a tiny fraction survive in superb gem condition. Collectors building registry sets compete fiercely for the finest known examples, pushing prices higher and higher. Another factor that can elevate a coin's value is a dramatic mint error. Off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and wrong planchet errors are always in demand. Imagine a 1990 no-mint mark penny struck significantly off-center, yet still showing the full date. Or a coin accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination. These types of errors transform an ordinary penny into a rare collectible. The thrill of coin collecting often comes from the hunt. Many valuable coins are discovered in pocket change, coin rolls from banks, estate sales, or old collections tucked away in drawers. The idea that a small copper-colored coin could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars keeps collectors searching. When examining a 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, experts recommend using a magnifying glass or loupe with at least 10x magnification. Check the date carefully for doubling. Look at the lettering in "In God We Trust and Liberty." Inspect the surface for unusual textures or strike anomalies. And most importantly, evaluate the overall condition. Does the coin still have its original mint luster? Are there visible scratches or spots? Is the strike sharp, especially on Lincoln's hair and the steps of the Lincoln Memorial? Storage also matters. Coins kept in humid environments can develop spots or corrosion. Proper storage in airtight holders or coin albums helps preserve value over time. It's fascinating to think about how something so small can carry both historical and financial significance. The Lincoln penny has witnessed generations of American history. From world wars to moon landings to the digital age, this humble coin has remained a constant presence in daily life. For many collectors, the 1990 no-mint mark penny represents the excitement of modern coin hunting. Unlike ancient or early American coins that require large investments to acquire, modern pennies can still be found at face value. That accessibility makes the hobby appealing to beginners and experienced collectors alike. However, patience and knowledge are essential. Not every 1990 penny is valuable. In circulated condition, most are worth only 1 cent. Even uncirculated examples are often worth just a small premium unless they are in exceptional condition or exhibit a rare variety or error. The key is understanding the difference between common and extraordinary. A typical worn 1990 penny might buy you nothing more than a piece of candy. But a flawless, high-grade specimen authenticated and graded by a professional service could become the centerpiece of a competitive registry collection. Collectors also pay attention to eye appeal. A coin with vibrant red original color is generally more desirable than one that is turned brown. In grading terms, pennies are often described as red, red-brown, or brown. Full red examples, especially in high mint state grades, are significantly scarcer and more valuable. Auction records show that when condition, rarity, and demand align, prices can rise dramatically. Competitive bidding between passionate collectors can push a coin far beyond expectations. That is the magic of the numismatic marketplace. So, the next time you receive change at a store, take a closer look at your pennies. Check the date. Look for the mint mark, or in this case, the absence of one. You might be holding a small piece of history. While most 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies are common, the possibility of discovering an exceptional example adds excitement to everyday life. Coin collecting teaches patience, observation, and appreciation for craftsmanship. It connects us to the past while offering the thrill of discovery in the present. And sometimes, it rewards sharp eyes with surprising value. In the world of numismatics, stories like the 1990 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny remind us that value is not always obvious. Hidden among billions of ordinary coins could be a single extraordinary piece, preserved in stunning condition, displaying a rare variety, and sought after by collectors across the country. And when the right coin meets the right collector at the right time, that humble 1-cent piece has been known to reach a remarkable value of $36,836. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple 1-cent coin and discovering that this tiny copper-colored piece of history could be worth far more than you ever dreamed. Most people overlook pennies. They toss them into jars, leave them in car cup holders, or spin them without a second thought. But today, we're diving into a coin that proves even the smallest denomination can hold an extraordinary story and surprising value. The United States of America 1991 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, the 1991 Lincoln cent looks completely ordinary. On the front, you see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been part of American coinage since 1909. The words "In God We Trust" arc above his head. Liberty sits to the left. The date 1991 appears to the right. And if you look carefully under the date on some pennies, you might see a small letter. But on the coin we're talking about today, there is no letter at all. That missing mint mark is exactly what makes collectors pause and take a closer look. Before we go deeper, let's understand what no mint mark actually means. In 1991, Lincoln cents were struck at multiple United States mint facilities, including Philadelphia and Denver. Coins produced in Denver carry a small D mint mark below the date. Coins struck in San Francisco for proof sets carry an S mint mark. But coins minted in Philadelphia during that time typically carried no mint mark at all. So technically, a 1991 penny with no mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Now here's where things get interesting. Even though millions upon millions of 1991 pennies were struck in Philadelphia, not all of them are equal. Condition is everything in the coin collecting world. A heavily worn penny that has passed through thousands of hands will likely be worth only 1 cent. But a perfectly preserved example, especially one with exceptional strike quality and strong luster, can command a much higher price. The 1991 Lincoln cent is part of the modern era of pennies composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, the U.S. Mint changed the composition from mostly copper to a zinc core due to rising metal costs. So your 1991 penny weighs about 2.5 grams and has that bright copper appearance when uncirculated. Over time, many of these coins develop dark spots, dull surfaces, or minor corrosion if not stored properly. That's why finding one in pristine condition today is not as easy as you might think. Collectors grade coins on a scale that ranges from poor all the way up to mint state 70. A coin graded mint state 65 or above is considered gem quality. These coins show sharp details, minimal marks, and attractive luster. When a 1991 no mint mark Lincoln cent achieves an even higher grade, such as mint state 68 or better, it enters a rare category. Only a small percentage of coins survive in such remarkable condition. Another factor that adds intrigue is the possibility of errors. Coin errors can occur during the minting process. These include off-center strikes, doubled dies, clipped planchets, or other striking abnormalities. While not every 1991 penny has an error, examples that do can become highly desirable. A strong doubled die, where the lettering or date appears doubled due to a misalignment in the die creation process, can significantly increase collector demand. For the 1991 no mint mark penny, high-grade specimens certified by professional grading services have drawn strong attention in auctions. When collectors compete for the finest known examples, prices can escalate quickly. Registry set collectors, who aim to assemble the highest graded coins for each year in mint, often drive these prices upward. They are willing to pay premium amounts for coins that rank at the very top of the population reports. Imagine a coin struck more than 3 decades ago, quietly sitting in circulation, somehow escaping the scratches, dings, and wear that affect most pennies. Perhaps it was pulled from circulation early and stored in a roll. Perhaps it remained untouched in a collection since the day it was minted. However it survived, its near-perfect surfaces tell a story of preservation against the odds. the design itself is iconic. Victor David Brenner's portrait of Lincoln captures a sense of dignity and strength. The reverse of the 1991 penny features the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. If you look closely at the memorial, you can even see a tiny representation of the Lincoln statue between the columns. This intricate detail has fascinated collectors for decades. Because the 1991 penny is relatively modern, many people assume it cannot possibly be valuable. That assumption leads to overlooked treasures. Coin collecting history has shown time and time again that modern coins in extraordinary condition can outperform older coins that are heavily worn. Rarity is not just about age. It is about availability in top condition. Population reports from grading services reveal how many coins exist at each grade level. While thousands of 1991 no-mint mark pennies may exist in average uncirculated grades, the number dramatically decreases at the highest levels. When only a handful are graded at the very top, competition becomes fierce. Collectors seeking the best of the best are not just buying a penny, they are buying bragging rights, registry points, and a piece of numismatic excellence. If you're wondering whether you might have one of these valuable coins, start by examining your pennies carefully. Look at the date. Confirm there is no mint mark under the year. Then check the condition. Is the coin bright and lustrous? Are Lincoln's hair details sharp and well defined? Are there noticeable scratches or spots? Even small imperfections can affect the grade. Using a magnifying glass or loupe can help you inspect fine details. However, be cautious when handling coins. Always hold them by the edges and avoid cleaning them. Cleaning can damage the surface and significantly reduce value. In the coin world, original surfaces are highly prized. Even a common coin can lose most of its collectible value if it has been improperly cleaned. Storage is equally important. If you believe you have a high-grade example, consider placing it in a protective holder. Many collectors use coin flips, capsules, or certified grading slabs for long-term preservation. Proper storage prevents environmental damage and keeps the coin surfaces intact. The excitement surrounding modern pennies, like the 1991 no-mint mark set, reminds us that valuable coins are not always ancient relics. Sometimes they are hiding in plain sight. A child's coin jar, a forgotten bank roll, or spare change from a grocery store could contain a coin that stands out from the rest. Over the years, auction records have demonstrated that when an exceptional example surfaces, serious collectors take notice. The thrill of bidding, the anticipation as the auctioneer calls out rising numbers, and the final hammer price all add to the drama. What began as a humble one-cent coin transforms into a sought-after collectible. It is also important to remember that coin values fluctuate with market demand. While most 1991 no-mint mark pennies are worth only face value, the finest certified examples have achieved impressive results. Condition, certification, appeal, and market timing all play a role in determining final value. The story of this penny is ultimately a story about attention to detail. It teaches us to look closely at the ordinary. It encourages curiosity. It rewards patience. And it proves that even in a world dominated by digital transactions, small physical pieces of history still capture imaginations. So, the next time you receive change, do not ignore those copper-colored coins. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple 1-cent coin, and discovering that this tiny copper-plated piece of history could be worth far more than you ever dreamed. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 2000 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. At first glance, it may look like just another ordinary penny, the kind that jingles around in jars and car cup holders. But when you understand its background, its design, its production details, and the rare conditions that can make it incredibly valuable, you begin to see it in a completely different light. The year 2000 marked the beginning of a brand new millennium. There was excitement in the air across America and around the world. Technology was advancing, the Y2K fears had just passed, and the United States Mint was striking millions upon millions of coins to keep commerce flowing smoothly. Among those coins was the 2000 Lincoln penny, a small but powerful symbol of American heritage. The Lincoln cent has one of the most iconic designs in American coinage. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By the year 2000, the Obverse design still proudly displayed the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. His profile face is right, dignified and calm, with the word liberty to the left and the year 2000 to the right. Above Lincoln's head, the powerful motto, "I in God we trust," arches gracefully. Now let's talk about that missing mint mark. When you see a 2000 penny without a mint mark, it simply means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. For many years, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark, and although modern coins often do, pennies from Philadelphia in 2000 were still commonly produced without one. So technically, no mint mark does not automatically make the coin rare. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents in 2000. The reverse of the 2000 penny features the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday. If you look very closely between the columns of the memorial, you can actually see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside. This intricate detail has fascinated collectors for decades. The inscriptions "United States of America" and 1 cent curve along the top and bottom, while E pluribus unum sits proudly above the memorial. In terms of composition, the 2000 Lincoln penny is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, most pennies have been struck with this composition, making them lighter than the earlier solid copper cents. Each coin weighs about 2.5 grams and measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter. On paper, there is nothing extraordinary about these specifications. But as every experienced collector knows, value is not just about metal. It is about condition, rarity, demand, and sometimes minting errors. So what makes a 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth serious money? The answer lies in condition and errors. Because so many of these pennies were produced, the vast majority are only worth face value. You could search through rolls of coins and find dozens in circulated condition that are worth exactly 1 cent. However, when you step into the world of high-grade, professionally graded coins, the story changes dramatically. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A coin graded MS65, MS66, or higher is considered to be in mint state, meaning it has never been circulated and shows minimal imperfections. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes in that condition. For modern coins, like the 2000 penny, achieving an extremely high grade such as MS68 or MS69 is incredibly difficult. Even the tiniest mark, scratch, or imperfection from the minting process can lower the grade. This is where collectors become excited. A 2000 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that has been preserved in near perfect condition, showing blazing luster, sharp strike details, and virtually no contact marks, can command astonishing prices at auction. Add to that the possibility of a rare mint error, and the value can skyrocket even further. Mint errors are another thrilling part of coin collecting. Some 2000 pennies have been discovered with off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, or other unusual characteristics. A double die occurs when the coin's design is impressed more than once in slightly different positions, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering or date. These varieties are highly sought after because they are unintentional and limited in number. Collectors also look for coins with broad strikes, clipped planchets, or dramatic die breaks. Each error tells a story about what happened inside the minting press at the exact moment that coin was struck. These mechanical mishaps, though rare, transform an ordinary cent into a prized collectible. But even without a dramatic error, condition alone can make all the difference. Imagine a freshly struck 2000 penny, perfectly centered, with mirror-like surfaces and sharp details on Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial. If such a coin is carefully stored from the moment it leaves the mint and later submitted to a professional grading service, it might achieve one of the highest grades known for that issue. And when that happens, collectors compete fiercely. Auctions are where the magic truly unfolds. Two determined bidders, who both want the finest known example of a particular coin, can drive the price far beyond what most people would expect for a 1-cent piece. The thrill of owning the best, the rarest in top condition, fuels the bidding war. It is hard to believe that a coin with a face value of just 1 cent could ever be considered valuable. Yet history has shown us again and again that rarity and condition create extraordinary opportunities in the numismatic world. The 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln penny stands as a perfect example of how modern coins, often overlooked, can surprise us. If you are inspired to start searching, begin by checking your pocket change. Look closely at the date. Examine the surfaces under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the lettering and design for any signs of doubling or unusual features. Pay attention to the coin's overall condition. Is the luster still bright? Are there noticeable scratches or dull areas? Small details matter. You can also search through bank rolls or coin boxes. Many collectors enjoy coin roll hunting, a hobby that combines patience, curiosity, and the excitement of discovery. While finding a top-graded specimen in circulation is unlikely, you never know what might be hiding in an old collection or forgotten jar. If you believe you have found an exceptional example, consider submitting it to a reputable grading service. Professional authentication and grading provide credibility and can significantly impact the coin's market value. Serious collectors rely on these third-party grading companies to ensure accuracy and fairness in the marketplace. The story of the 2000 Lincoln penny reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes, the smallest objects carry the biggest surprises. A coin created for everyday transactions can become a treasured collectible simply because it survived in remarkable condition or carries a rare minting anomaly. As we look back at the dawn of the millennium, this humble penny captures a moment in time. It represents American craftsmanship, history, and the enduring legacy of Abraham Lincoln. It also represents opportunity. The possibility that something so common could become so rare in pristine form keeps collectors searching, studying, and dreaming. And while most 2000 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies will forever remain worth just 1 cent, there are extraordinary examples that have stunned the collecting world. In the right condition, authenticated and graded at the very top of the scale, one of these coins has reached an astonishing value of $36,763. We are diving deep into the fascinating world of the 2007 Lincoln penny. We will explore its history, its design, its minting details, the errors that make collectors excited, and most importantly, how a coin that seems so common can sometimes be worth far more than 1 cent. The year 2007 was a unique time in American history. The nation was on the edge of major economic changes. Technology was rapidly evolving, and millions of coins were being struck every day at the United States Mint. Among them was the 2007 Lincoln penny, produced in large numbers for everyday commerce. The Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark on the front of the coin just below the date, was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of these pennies. At first glance, the 2007 Lincoln cent looks completely ordinary. On the obverse, you see the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His calm yet powerful profile has appeared on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Above his head, the word Liberty. To the right, the date 2007. And just below the date, the small but important D mint mark. Turn the coin over, and you will see the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, which was used from 1959 to 2008. The memorial stands proudly in the center, with United States of America above and 1 cent below. If you look very closely between the columns of the memorial, you can even spot the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside. It is an incredible detail for such a small coin. Now here is something many people do not realize. The 2007 penny is not made primarily of copper. Since 1982, most Lincoln cents have been struck with a zinc core coated in a thin layer of copper. This composition change means that modern pennies are lighter and more prone to certain types of wear and damage. Because of this, high-grade examples in pristine condition are much harder to find than you might think. The Denver Mint produced billions of pennies in 2007. So how can something so common be worth more than face value? The answer lies in condition, rarity within grade, and mint errors. Let us talk about condition first. Coin collectors use a grading scale that ranges from poor all the way to mint state 70. A coin found in circulation, with scratches, dull surfaces, and worn details, is usually only worth 1 cent. But a coin that was never circulated, preserved carefully from the moment it left the mint, can be graded mint state 65, 66, 67, or even higher. The higher the grade, the rarer the coin becomes. Why? Because even though billions were produced, only a tiny fraction survived in flawless condition. A 2007 D penny graded MS67 or above by a professional grading service is incredibly difficult to find. Collectors compete fiercely for top population coins, and that competition drives prices upward. But condition alone is not the only factor. Errors and varieties are where things become truly exciting. During the minting process, coins are struck at high speed using powerful presses. Sometimes mistakes happen. These mistakes can create coins that are unique and highly desirable. For the 2007 D Lincoln penny, collectors look for several types of errors. One popular error is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet is not properly aligned with the dies. The result is a coin where part of the design is missing, shifted to one side. If the date and mint mark are still visible, these coins can be worth significantly more than face value. Another error to watch for is a double die. This occurs when the die itself has a doubled image, causing letters or numbers to appear slightly duplicated. On a 2007 D penny, doubling might be visible in the date, the word Liberty, or the inscriptions on the reverse. True double die errors are rare and can command strong premiums. There are also die cracks and cuts. A die crack appears as a raised line on the coin surface, caused by a crack in the die. A cut is a more dramatic break that creates a blob-like raised area along the edge of the coin. These dramatic errors are especially appealing to collectors who specialize in mint mistakes. Then, there are broad strikes, where the coin is struck without the retaining collar, causing it to spread out and appear larger than normal. The rim will look flat and expanded. This unusual appearance immediately catches the eye. Because the 2007 D penny is a modern coin, many people never think to examine it closely. That is exactly why treasures can still be hiding in circulation. Rolls of pennies from banks, old piggy banks, jars of change, and inherited collections may contain high-grade or error examples that have never been properly evaluated. Now imagine this scenario. A collector searches through thousands of 2007 D pennies, carefully selecting the sharpest, most brilliant example. The coin is sent to a professional grading service. Experts examine it under magnification, analyzing its luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. After careful inspection, it receives an exceptionally high grade, placing it among the finest known examples. At that moment, the coin transforms from everyday pocket change into a serious collectible. Registry set collectors, who compete to own the highest graded coins for each year in mint mark, begin bidding. The demand increases. The spotlight grows brighter, and this is where the magic of coin collecting truly shines. Value is not just about age. It is about rarity within condition, demand within the market, and the story behind the coin. The 2007 Lincoln penny represents the final years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design before it was replaced in 2009 with the Lincoln Bicentennial series. That historical position adds another layer of interest. It marks the closing chapter of a design that lasted nearly 50 years. For new collectors, this coin is an accessible entry point into the hobby. It teaches the importance of careful observation, grading knowledge, and understanding mint errors. For advanced collectors, it represents a challenge to find the absolute best possible example. If you want to search for one yourself, here are a few tips. Look for strong, full red color. Collectors prefer coins that retain their original red copper sheen, often labeled as RD4 red. Avoid coins with spots, dull areas, or scratches. Check the high points of Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial for sharp detail. Use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to inspect for doubling or unusual marks. Also remember to store any promising coins properly. Use coin holders or flips that are PVC-free. Keep them in a cool, dry place to prevent corrosion. A coin's condition can change over time if not protected. The beauty of the 2007 penny is that it reminds us opportunity can hide in plain sight. It challenges the assumption that only ancient or silver coins carry value. Even a modern copper-plated zinc cent can become a prize under the right circumstances. Collectors across the country continue to search through bank rolls, estate sales, and online auctions looking for that one extraordinary specimen. The thrill of discovery keeps the hobby alive. And here is the part that truly captures attention. While most 2007 pennies will always remain worth just 1 cent, an exceptional high-grade or rare error example has reached an astonishing market value of $36,753. Yes, a coin that once bought a piece of candy could, under extraordinary conditions, be worth as much as a luxury car. The next time you receive change at a store, pause for a moment. Take a closer look at that small copper-colored coin. Check the date. Look for the tiny D mint mark. Examine its shine, its details, its uniqueness. We are diving deep into the fascinating story of the United States of America 2016 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. At first glance, it seems modern, common, and easy to overlook. But as collectors know, even recent coins can carry surprising value when the right conditions come together. And by the end of this video, you may never look at a 2016 penny the same way again. Let's start with the basics. The 2016 Lincoln cent was struck as part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln. For over a century, Lincoln's profile has remained one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. The obverse of the 2016 penny features the familiar portrait of Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. His calm, dignified profile faces right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the year 2016 to the right. Now here's where it gets interesting. Just below the date, you'll find a small letter D. That tiny letter stands for the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint has been producing coins since 1906, and over the years, it has struck billions upon billions of pennies. In 2016 alone, the Denver Mint produced a massive number of Lincoln cents, making them extremely common in circulation. How could something so common become valuable? The answer lies in condition, rarity within the issue, and mint errors. The reverse of the 2016 Lincoln penny features the Union Shield design. Introduced in 2010, this reverse replaced the Lincoln bicentennial designs and symbolizes Lincoln's preservation of the United States as a single nation. The shield has 13 vertical stripes representing the original colonies, bound together by a horizontal bar at the top, symbolizing unity and strength. The words United States of America appear above, and 1 cent is boldly displayed across the center. It's a modern design, crisp and detailed. But while millions of these coins were made, very few survive in perfect condition. Most 2016 D pennies entered circulation immediately. They were used in everyday transactions, handled roughly, stacked in rolls, and stored without protection. Over time, they developed scratches, contact marks, discoloration, and wear. This dramatically reduces their collectible value. In circulated condition, a typical 2016 D Lincoln penny is worth exactly 1 cent. That's it. Face value. Nothing special. But when we step into the world of coin grading, everything changes. Professional grading companies use a scale from 1 to 70 to determine a coin's condition. A coin graded MS, meaning mint state, has never been circulated. The higher the number, the closer the coin is to absolute perfection. An MS-65 coin is considered gem quality. An MS-67 coin is superb. But once you approach MS-68, MS-69, and especially MS-70, you are talking about coins that are nearly flawless under magnification. For a modern coin like the 2016 D penny, achieving a grade of MS-69 or MS-70 is incredibly difficult. Even though they are recent, the minting process, transportation, and storage often introduce tiny imperfections. A single small mark can prevent a coin from reaching a top-tier grade. This is where rarity begins to form. While millions were struck, only a tiny fraction achieved the highest certified grades. And collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. Registry set collectors, in particular, want the best possible graded coins to complete their collections. That competition drives prices upward. Now let's talk about another factor that can make the 2016 D penny valuable: mint errors. Mint errors occur during the production process. These can include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, or coins struck on the wrong metal. Although rare, when such errors are discovered on modern coins, they can command significant premiums. For example, a dramatic off-center strike where part of Lincoln's portrait is missing can make the coin instantly collectible. A double die error, where design elements appear slightly doubled due to misalignment during hubbing, can also generate strong interest. Collectors love error coins because they are unique. No two are exactly alike. And in the world of numismatics, uniqueness often equals value. There is also the factor of copper composition. Since 1982, Lincoln cents have been made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. However, transitional errors or wrong planchet strikes occasionally occur. If a 2016 D penny were somehow struck on an incorrect metal planchet, it would immediately become an extraordinary rarity. Now imagine combining multiple factors. A 2016 D penny, preserved in nearly perfect condition, certified by a major grading service, and possibly featuring a rare mint error. That is when the ordinary transforms into the extraordinary. Collectors are always hunting for the finest known example. Population reports from grading services show how many coins have achieved certain grades. If only a handful of 2016 D pennies exist in a top grade, demand can skyrocket. When demand rises and supply remains tiny, prices can soar far beyond face value. This is why checking your change matters. You might receive a bright, sharply struck 2016 D penny in everyday transactions. If you notice exceptional luster, strong details, and no visible marks, it might be worth setting aside. Storing it properly in a protective holder can preserve its condition, It's also wise to examine coins under magnification. Look for doubling in the lettering, unusual die cracks, or off-center strikes. Even small anomalies can catch a collector's attention. Many people assume that only old coins are valuable. They believe treasure must be ancient. But the truth is, modern coins can become rare simply because very few survive in top condition. Time is not the only ingredient for value. Condition, scarcity in high grades, and collector demand are equally important. The 2016 D. Lincoln penny represents a fascinating example of this principle. It reminds us that value is not always about age. Sometimes it's about perfection. Imagine holding a tiny copper-colored coin, smaller than a quarter, lighter than a nickel, something most people would not even bend down to pick up. Yet in the right condition, with the right certification, that humble penny could attract serious attention from advanced collectors. Coin collecting is part history, part treasure hunt, and part strategy. It requires patience and a sharp eye. And sometimes, it rewards those who look closely at what others ignore. The next time you receive change at a store, don't just toss the pennies aside. Flip them over. Check the date. Look for that small D mint mark. Examine the surface. Notice the shine. Because hidden among ordinary coins could be an extraordinary example waiting to be discovered. And while most 2016 D. Lincoln pennies will always remain worth just 1 cent, the finest certified examples have reached astonishing levels in the collector market. We are diving deep into a modern coin that many people overlook every single day, the United States of America 2018 D. Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. At first glance, it may seem like just another ordinary cent. But as collectors know, sometimes the most surprising treasures are hiding in plain sight. The 2018 D. Lincoln penny was struck at the Denver Mint, proudly carrying the small D. Mint mark just below the date on the obverse side. This tiny letter tells an important story. It reveals where the coin was produced and connects it to one of the most historic minting facilities in the United States. The Denver Mint has been producing coins since 1906, and its mint mark has become a symbol recognized by collectors around the world. When you hold a 2018 D. Lincoln cent in your hand, you are holding a piece of American heritage. The obverse features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. This iconic design has appeared on the penny since 1909, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Lincoln's calm and thoughtful expression reminds us of leadership, resilience, and unity, values that continue to resonate today. On the reverse side, the 2018 penny features the Union Shield design. Introduced in 2010, this reverse replaced the Lincoln Memorial design and symbolizes Lincoln's preservation of the United States as one unified country. The shield represents strength and unity, with the banner across it reading, E pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. Even though this is a modern coin, its symbolism is deeply rooted in American history. Now let's talk about composition. The 2018 D. Lincoln cent is not made primarily of copper like older pennies. Instead, it consists of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. Since 1982, U.S. pennies have been made this way to reduce production costs. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. While these details might seem technical, collectors pay close attention to specifications because small variations can create rare and valuable errors. And this is where things start to get exciting. Most 2018 D pennies in circulation are worth exactly 1 cent. You can find them in pocket change, coin jars, and bank rolls. However, condition is everything in coin collecting. A coin graded in mint state condition, especially MS67 or higher, can command significantly higher prices. These coins must be nearly flawless, with sharp details, strong luster, and no visible marks to the naked eye. But beyond condition, errors and varieties are what truly capture the attention of collectors. Some 2018 D pennies have been discovered with striking errors. These may include off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, clipped planchets, or even wrong planchet errors. Imagine finding a penny that was struck slightly off-center, leaving part of the design missing. While this might look like damage to an untrained eye, to a collector it could mean serious value. Double die errors are especially fascinating. This occurs when the die used to strike the coin has a doubled image, causing certain letters or numbers to appear slightly duplicated. If a 2018 D penny displays clear doubling on the date or inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust, it could become highly desirable among collectors. Another factor that influences value is red versus brown coloration. Brand new copper-plated cents shine with a bright red luster. Over time, exposure to air causes them to tone to brown. Coins that retain their original full red color are generally worth more than those that have darkened. A 2018 D penny graded as MS68 red, for example, would be considered exceptional. Let's not forget about die clashes and die chips. A die clash happens when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint design marks transferred onto each other. These marks can then appear on coins struck afterward. Die chips, on the other hand, create small raised blobs of metal on the coin's surface. While minor chips may not add much value, dramatic ones can spark collector interest. You might be wondering how many 2018 D pennies were made. The Denver Mint produced billions of them. With such a high mintage, rarity does not come from low production numbers. Instead, rarity comes from condition and unique mint errors. That is why careful inspection is so important. If you want to check your own 2018 D pennies, start by examining them under bright light. Use a magnifying glass or coin loupe with at least 5x to 10x magnification. Look closely at the date, mint mark, lettering, and Lincoln's features. Check for unusual doubling, misalignment, cracks, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. Another smart strategy is searching through bank rolls. Many collectors buy rolls of pennies directly from banks and carefully search each one. It takes patience, but sometimes patience pays off. Even in modern coinage, surprises still happen. Professional grading is also crucial for high-value coins. If you believe you have a near-perfect example or a strong error variety, sending it to a reputable grading service can authenticate and assign a grade to your coin. A single point difference in grade can mean a dramatic change in value. Modern coins are sometimes underestimated. Many people assume only old coins can be valuable. But the truth is, modern coins in top condition can sell for impressive amounts because so few survive in flawless state. Circulation marks, scratches, and contact damage happen quickly. Finding one that is nearly perfect is far more difficult than most people realize. Collectors also consider strike quality. A well-struck 2018 D penny will show sharp lines in Lincoln's hair and beard, crisp details in the Union shield, and strong lettering. Weak strikes may appear slightly flat in certain areas, which can reduce desirability. Storage plays a huge role in preserving value. If you find a shiny red 2018 D penny, avoid touching the surface with bare fingers. Oils from your skin can cause spotting and discoloration. Store coins in protective holders, flips, or certified slabs to maintain their condition. Over time, as years pass and fewer pristine examples remain, the highest grade 2018 D pennies may become more desirable. The coin market often rewards rarity in top grades. Even though billions were produced, only a tiny fraction will achieve elite grading levels. And here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. While most examples remain worth face value, a top-graded 2018 D Lincoln set with exceptional quality and demand reached an astonishing price of $36,653. Think about that for a moment. A coin that many people ignore. A coin that might be sitting in a jar forgotten. Yet under the right conditions, flawless preservation, professional grading, and collector demand, it transformed into something extraordinary. This is why coin collecting is so exciting. It combines history, art, patience, and the thrill of discovery. Every coin has a story. The 2018 D. Lincoln penny may be modern, but it represents the continuation of a legacy that began more than a century ago. So next time you receive change at a store, don't just toss those pennies aside. Take a closer look. Check the date. Look for that small D mint mark. Examine the details carefully, because sometimes, hidden among ordinary coins, there could be a small copper-colored treasure waiting to be discovered.